Alive.
Howdy, howdy, y'all. It is another I Am That episode, chapter 80 Awareness. Once again, you have my homie, Alazazam, joining us because I don't know, it seems like y'all like it more, and I feel like I like it more too, so I always love having him for one of these. And so, yeah, this chapter, awareness, good name, good theme. It's a very important theme, I think, because awareness, and I like the way he describes it as being like it's a just like one block, it's one thing. It's not really like he doesn't describe it as like a I don't know like a spectrum or anything like that. He's almost describing it more like an on-off switch sort of deal. Would you say that's pretty accurate?
Yeah.
And I would say right off the bat, like within because well at least for my book, my edition, like chapter 80 ends like at the very bottom of like the of like page 440, and then like but so at the next page over, which is really like the first full page, he talks about the questioner asks him, what is nature? And I love Maharaj's response. I love the way he describes nature. The totality of conscious experiences is nature. As a conscious self, you are a part of nature. As awareness, you are beyond. Seeing nature as mere consciousness is awareness. And I just, for me, in my own personal life lately, I think that's been like a big ongoing theme, especially I get annoyed with a lot of other people with in general, is not seeing themselves as a part of nature. That I always find that very annoying when humans like see themselves as like above or superior or this sort of nonsense when compared to nature. It's like, no, you are part of the consciousness of nature itself.
There's some elements of this chapter that I noticed this time, and he does go into some aspects of what the realized state is, and um, he talks about the subconscious and the conscious merging. And he talks about the past and the future merging.
Right,
But I
yeah.
think he's the theme is obviously awareness. So he's saying bringing awareness to things is what causes these things to all be seen as one or like merge,
Yeah.
sort of.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way I think of describing this. Because, yeah, like wherever, because I feel like that is what he's describing it as. Is whenever you are putting awareness towards something, like you can put, like, that's how you merge the consciousness. Like he talks about, like the merging the conscious and unconsciousness is
Yeah,
one. He even talks about how most of your experiences and all this is unconscious, which is really funny because I feel like even with like modern day science would agree with that. But another part I do like is he describes like how he describes religion and science. Like he describes like one as like matter first, and then the other one as like mind first, essentially. I forget the exact. Trying to see the exact way he phrased it, but he's like, you know what part I'm talking about?
yeah. I don't know the exact quote, but
Yeah, I'm trying to look for it. Oh yeah, you maintain the confusion is apparent and purely verbal. What is. It is neither subjective nor objective. Matter and mind are not separate. These aspects are these are aspects of one energy. Look at the mind and function of matter. You have science. Look at matter as the product of the mind, and you have religion. So I found that like kind of flip and that comparison very very interesting. And it's like in a way he's describing them. It's not even almost like he's describing like in the way how they're both related and in some ways opposites of each other, because I think that is always like that complex relationship with science and religion. It's like this weird like mute like especially modern day world, in the modern world especially, there's this weird like relationship between the two, especially certain religions and whatnot, but that's a whole other big topical matter. Point being, like I just like I found that really like Maharaj I think understands science pretty well. I don't think he's like this, just like aloof dude who's ignorant. That's the irony of it all. Like he is very aware of this stuff.
He understands things intuitively that are scientific just through his own intuition and his own direct experience. Um, but it's interesting. He also talks about how it's not an experience. Like enlightenment is not an experience in this chapter. Remember, he's talking about how it's not an experience. It's
Yeah.
like awareness.
Yes.
He
Yeah.
keeps coming back to awareness.
Yeah. That awareness is that he's like he said he because he uses the once.
It's awareness of your timeless
Yeah.
being.
Yeah. And he uses this
And I was
metaphor,
like, oh yeah, yeah.
right? And what I like too is I like the metaphor he used because he's metaphor king, of course, and he used that and he used like awareness as like the light for which you see the color of experiences and blah blah blah.
Hmm.
Use that. Well, he uses that one quite often, but it's still a good metaphor. It's a really good metaphor. I will say the one weird thing though, I will say, and we were talking about this a little bit before we started this, is the ending of this chapter. This chapter I found very very he ends it very weirdly because at one point they say um how, in terms of like he says how am I the questioner how am I to go beyond Maharaj, you know it already. Do it. What that's what you say. I know nothing about it. Yet I repeat myself. You know it. Do it. Go beyond. Back to your normal, natural, supreme state. I'm puzzled. A speck in the eye makes you think you are blind. Wash it out and look. I do look. I see only darkness. Remove the speck from your eye. Remove the speck and your eye will be flooded with light. There is light. The light is there, waiting. The eyes are there, ready. The darkness you see is but the shadow of the tiny speck. Get rid of it and come back to your natural state. I just, there's one where I found, I mean, I can see, I don't know. For me, well, because he seems to be confusing the dude, for one, or the questioner. The questioner definitely seems more confused. I mean, I don't know. I would have to see the body language and all that stuff, the tone of voice, but it seems more confused. So, wait, what do you think? Why do you think Maharaj approaches does goes with this approach towards the end?
And this is typical of him. He's talking about removing the obstacles to the light. And what he says a lot of times is you don't need to see the light because you are the light. All you need to do is remove the obstacles that are blocking you, the light from shining. And that's what he's telling the guy at the end. He's saying there's some speck of ignorance of something that's in your being that you need to remove in order for this light to shine. And it's just typical Maharash, really,
Yeah, and hammering those points at home. That's what he does. Like I say, the hammer metaphor, and
because it goes right into what are you? You can't know who you are. You can only know what you are not. So it's all about knowing, and bringing awareness to what you are not as a way of removing the obstacles to the light from shining. And because these obstacles within us, they can only change through awareness, and they can only dissolve through awareness and knowledge of them. That's why we meditate, and that's why people meditate and all that. It's like to know themselves, so that,
yeah,
and yeah,
which brings about awareness.
awareness and like self knowledge makes it so that light can shine because it removes the darkness.
Exactly. Anyways, I think. Do you have anything else to add?
No, just awareness is kind of like what this chapter is about. It's called awareness. Bringing awareness to something is pretty much the main thing that changes it and causes it to transform in your favor. So awareness is super important, in my opinion.
I agree. Like I said, it's a very good chapter. Once again, hasn't been a bad chapter yet. Um, I don't know. I mean, obviously at this point, I just can't recommend this book enough. So let's say it again. Can't recommend it enough. Good chapter. If you haven't been checking this book out, please do. And if you haven't checked out the rest of this playlist, please do. And also check out Sam's material. And yeah, subscribe, like, all that jazz. And hope you all have an excellent day. Namaste. Hare Krishna. And peace.
Peace.